If we could please start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, we'll start with public comment. If you want to come on up to the podium. Jim, you're right there. Come on up.
Okay, good evening. My name is Jim Tassin at 268 Marlboro, Bloomfield Township, president of the South Bloomfield Highlands Association. Since our last meeting on June 10th, we have done some further research and are trying to move forward on finding the stop boxes. Thank you to Township Clerk Brooke for stopping by and helping us with this issue. Also, thank you to Trustee Barnett, who has reached out to us. I did a follow-up email to the township staff with items we discussed at the last board meeting. Unfortunately, I did receive a call, but no written answers to my questions. We did discuss how the township supervisor, the board, how the township supervisor made an offer to connect the SBH water system to the public water system in the 1960s and said the association could connect at any time at no cost. The Public Works Director confirmed that when he said many community well systems were connected in the 60s to get customers on the water system. That has set the precedence from a historical perspective. Since that time, these water mains that were community wells and private have been replaced by the township. Why is SBH different now? The township has an obligation at this point to cover the cost of this project based on what has been said in the past. We have been told by attorneys that the historical precedent has been set when private systems were taken over by the township and connected at no cost. Our group has also discussed how each resident in SPH has been connected to the township sewer system and been paying into the depreciation fund for water and sewer for some 60 years. We also discussed that once the SPH is connected to the water system, we will pay into the depreciation fund for another 75 years until it is time to replace pipes again. By paying for the new water system upfront and paying again over the next 75 years is a double payment. This is an injustice. The township has responsibility to its residents in SBH. Based on these facts, the township must step up and fund this project just like the ones before it. This is not new. It's a past practice. This is based on the township having a significant water and sewer fund balance currently. D'Angelo contacted the association on Friday, June 21, to let us know that he was directed by the township staff to locate all 209 boxes, even though the association only authorized 100. Will the township be paying the total cost of this work since they authorized it? Again, we heard from the contractor on the issue, not the township. The township has told us several times they would have all hands on deck to complete the locations, but have not followed through. D'Angelo has also told the association the township was good with completing this work by the end of this week, June 28th. Again, we have not heard from the township. The connection of the new water system to the old service is still an issue. D'Angelo is locating old stop boxes so the water main contractor will know where to place the new stop box in close proximity to the old box. We're not clear on why the contractor cannot go the next few feet and connect the old and new service and be done with this issue. Why can't the connection be made as part of the SAD at no additional cost to the property owner? Supervisor at the June 10th meeting made it clear that there is no longer a building permit required for this project. Thank you for the clarity. Where are we on the illicit connection issue? What is the process going forward? Thank you again for your assistance during the process of connecting all 209 members of our community into the township's water distribution system. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Mike McCready, 4957 Bloomfield Ridge. Tonight you will be discussing a water special assessment district for the Bloomfield Highlands. Over 65 years ago, public water was brought into Bloomfield Township. At that time, the township paid to bring water into whole neighborhoods that were on community wells. Those homes paid a connection fee and paid their water bills going forward. There is a past history for the township to install systems into whole neighborhoods. Fast forward 50 plus years, the township added a depreciation factor to all water and sewer bills. That allows the system to be replaced as needed. If Bloomfield Highlands is forced to pay for a new system today, they will pay it off over the next 20 years. Additionally, they will be paying for a new water system for the next 50 years in the neighborhood based on their water bills. This is completely unfair. I received a notice, by the way, another subject, I received a notice in the mail on Saturday for the strategic plan. I found it interesting the meetings are tomorrow and Wednesday. Not much notice for our residents. Having worked at the state, county, and municipal level, I've been involved with strategic plans. They are typically 12 to 18 months long. This strategic plan is trying to be expedited in less than 4 months. Over and above, I find the timing interesting as it takes much longer for a strategic plan to be valid. You need to interview the residents, the neighborhood associations, and the businesses in the community. And let us not forget about the different school districts that should be consulted, as they are an integral part of this process. Ideally, this would have started with all the departments in the township. Based on the survey questions, I would be surprised if the departments had any input at all, or at best, a minimal input. I would scrap the plan today until there is adequate time given for a process. Finally, and I spoke about this last time I stood in front of you, I am still concerned about the employment issues at Bloomfield Township. We are currently down a number of police officers and firefighters. A quick Google search would indicate Bloomfield Township is one of the lower paying communities for police and fire. I've never heard about this before in this community. This administration should be held accountable for this issue. The administration should realize if we want the best employees with the highest credentials, we need to pay our employees accordingly. I understand we are paying a great deal of money for a compensation study. All someone needs to do is go online to the different municipalities around our area, and you'll find the information. It's all public information. It's easy to get. Again, this is a waste of public funds. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Ziggy Klett. I live at 6420 Sheringham Road, and I've been a resident of the township for 30 years. The reason I am here tonight is to deliver praiseworthy remarks about Carrie Lizotte and the Bloomfield Community Television Station. In January of 2019, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and I was going through 29 chemotherapies and 3 life-saving surgeries. I wrote a story, it's actually a play, called 47 Chairs. And 47 Chairs is comprised of 4 stories: cancer, fast daters, 5th grade, and alma mater. When I felt that my show was ready for performing, I called the station, and I only knew Carrie because her name was on the website. I introduced myself, and I mentioned to her what I had created. And I said, "Could I come in and see you?" And she uttered the most powerful word in the English language. She said, "Yes." So I came in to see Carrie, and I discussed with her and showed her my script. And she said, "Well, what do you have in mind?" I said, "Well, I would like to be on the public TV station. I don't know how that works." She said, "It's very simple. You come in, we turn on the cameras." Even I could figure that one out. I did the show twice at the Bloomfield Community TV. And as a result of that, our point of local connectivity became a national point of connectivity. And I was invited to bring my show to Off-Broadway in New York City 2 times. I just finished 3 sold-out shows at the Barrow Group Performance Theater on 8th Avenue off-Broadway. I'm already going back in the fall. The reason I mention all this is that this never would have happened if, number one, we didn't have this beautiful state-of-the-art community TV station over here that's available to anyone who's got an idea, a dream, and a purpose to put it together. So Thank you, and I hope my remarks get entered into the record in perpetuity.
Hello. I'm not a resident of Bloomfield Township. I'm the director of the public library, Bloomfield Township Public Library. My name is Tara Moon. And I am also here to speak on behalf of my staff and praise BCTV and the wonderful Department of Community Relations headed by Carrie Lazat. Our two missions of our organizations are very similar. We have a broad, wide offering of programs and events for all ages and everybody in the community. And we're trying to bring the community together around a variety of topics of interest and activities. So our good working relationship comes very naturally, and it's a product of how great the staff is at BCTV. Earlier this year, 4 of my staff started a podcast. This is something they had been talking about for a while. We don't have a podcast station at the library, but Carrie had introduced us to the one that they have here at the township. And our staff and Steve Rhoda and Carrie and her whole team have been working together to deliver the Distracted Librarians podcast, available wherever you check out podcasts. It's a very, very delightful ramble through books and pop culture, movies, video games. I encourage everybody to check it out. Not only have they supported this really wonderful and new endeavor of my library staff, but they're always there to support us with promoting our events. Anytime we need something that we want to get the word out about, we know we can put it in the township e-newsletter, and it's going to get a lot of eyeballs on it. And for that, I'm really grateful. We even made an unexpected connection with Jose Guzman, and were able to display his collection of baseball cards at the library. So there's just all these unexpected ways that this relationship blossoms. And so on behalf of my library staff, I want to thank BCTV and its wonderful staff for this wonderful community partnership. Thank you.
My name is Mark Intockley. I live at 1550 Georgetown Drive. I'm a precinct delegate and a trustee candidate in this election cycle. I just handed the Board of Trustees some documents from the Southeastern Oakland County Water Authority for their budget. Now, last week, there's some statements made by this board which are inconsistent with the budget. For example, Bloomfield Township's purchasing power for water is greater than anyone else, and we would displace the other members of the SACWA board. Well, Royal Oak was budgeted at 255 million units, while Bloomfield Township was at 257 million units. So it seems we'd be on par with Royal Oak. So we'd both get 10 votes. Southfield's above us, significantly above us. They'd get 15 votes. So when we say that they don't want to select us to become a member because we would control the board, that seems inconsistent with what's in the budget. The other thing you'll see is on this page, it shows that the expected expected total per unit of water purchased, plus the operating costs are $22.66. Well, on page 4 of that same document dated April 30th, 2023, it says the overall fixed rate for the members are $19.18. The township is paying, based on that budgeted rate, $33.86. It appears that the members would benefit most if they kept us out, because their rates would go up over 15% if they brought us in completely. The township also mentioned that it would cost $10 to $12 million to pay a buy-in fee. Well, none of this was mentioned when over $11 million in expenditures for new water meters were mentioned at all. So would you rather get a buy-in and save some money on water and sewer? Or would you rather pay for new meters? Or would you rather purchase or build a water storage facility and buy water at wholesale rates at a 30% discount? That's what Glee was typically charging. Lastly, we can go to Troy. Troy is paying a little bit more than we are at about $34. Not sure how that benefits them to be brought into Saukwa based on what we're paying. Keego Harbor is paying about the same. Thank you.
Hi, David Thomas, Bloomfield Township resident. To the people that made the comments about our wonderful TV station over there, it's absolutely true. The place is amazing and it's a great opportunity for a lot of people. I'm here partially because I did kind of the same calculations that Mark did. I don't want to get into that just yet, but well, I'll get into it right now. I was watching the video last board meeting, trustees meeting, and they mentioned 10 to 12 million to buy in to Saukwa. I went and did the analysis. I came up with figures very similar to Mark's, $19.30 for the members on average, and we're paying about $34.50 on average. Big disparity. If you just looked at the difference in costs, assumed everything else stayed static, that's a 3.5-year payback. Who wouldn't make that investment? Really, as opposed to spending $11 million on the meters. And is the meters being installed by outside contractors? Is that another additional cost that's baked in there, even when we have a full water and sewer department? I mean, it just seems to be a waste of money, and it's counterproductive to our community. Again, the reason why I really came here was to talk about the intersection at Hickory Grove and Franklin. What prompted me to come down here to speak to you folks about before is the fact that there's near misses almost every day up there. It needs a 4-way stop. Just on the one crash that happened, what prompted my original visit here was the fact that that evening it took 4 police cars, 2 emergency vehicles, 2 vehicles damaged, so there's a cost there, and the people injured. The intersection was closed for about 30 minutes, 2 records to remove the vehicles, and all that versus a cost for 2 additional signs, a maximum of $1,000. If they're $350 a piece, and you got to pay a couple people to install them. I mean, that's a serious consideration, and it's a safety issue, especially since it runs from there to the high school now, and you go there at 8 in the morning or 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you can't get across. Because Franklin's just a racetrack there now. All right, the final 2 items real quickly. Recently, a couple months ago, they were discussing this $4 million in COVID dollars that were still available, and the township did a survey, and they got 490 people out of a community of 44,000 say, yeah, spending the money on township facilities would be a good idea. A better idea might have been buy the Fox Hills property that our tax dollars already paid for, buy it back from the school system. Seeing though they're closing that building, rather than having another development go up there, why don't we turn that into a real nice park for the kids? A soccer field, improve the baseball fields, make the soccer fields really playable instead of rat holes and looks like a back alley field. You compare it to Troy and other communities, they have soccer fields out there for the kids for competitions. You've got the hotels over there. You could do tournaments. You could do other things to raise the value of the community. And finally, to Mr. McCready's point, we're spending $97,000 for a consultant on a strategic plan, short fuse strategic plan. Plan should have been kicked off 4 years ago. That was one of the promises made during campaigns. And now we're doing a short fused one, and we're paying outside consultants. You're a strategic planner. Danny's a strategic planner. We've got a couple of attorneys up here. Mark, the beard looks nice. We've got Wall Street experience with Michael. That should have been handled by our trustees and our board. That shouldn't have been handled by outside consultants. What are we doing? Why are we spending the money? If it's your money, would you spend it if it's coming out of your own personal finances? With the talent that we've got up here? I mean, that's serious consideration. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is David Fanto. I am currently a media production specialist for the city of Rochester Hills. I previously was employed by BCTV. I was hired in by Greg Black and Steve Rhoda. Fresh out of college, I was working one of my first jobs and was working with someone who was a former employee of BCTV. I was looking for work and to gain experience, and he suggested that I apply here, to which I did. I worked here for about a year, up until November of 2023, and working here, I learned more than I could have imagined. I learned a lot more than I probably did in college. It was an amazing experience, and it's the reason I have the position that I have today. The people at BCTV are extremely kind people who have helped me immensely. I don't know where I would be without them. With Steve Rhoda, again, Greg Black, and Carrie Lazat, and the amazing staff that they've hired as well, who also have gone out of their way to help me throughout my time here. I just wanted to come here to shine some light on that, show how important their program is. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Shelley Taub and I live at 1959 Shore Hill Drive. I left you some photographs at your desk. You probably wondered what they were. This is a picture of my subdivision, a home in my subdivision. What you don't see in this picture is a circular drive which had 5 additional cars in it. This is what we sadly call our automobile repair shop. If you look very carefully, you will notice that the red truck has no license plate on it. If you look very carefully, you can't see all the debris, sadly, in the backyard. Used car parts, tires. Right behind that red car, back by the garage, there is a whole big pile of tires covered by tarp now, but they're there. You also can't see the machinery, nor can you see or hear the people working on the weekends, because you see they don't go to work until you guys leave. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and sometimes on Monday when you're closed, it's a holiday, we have bunches of people coming, bringing their cars in, looking at cars, buying cars. This has been going on for a number of years. And I've come on behalf of my subdivision. I happen to be president of the subdivision. It resides both in Bloomfield Township and West Bloomfield, a very unusual situation. But we, quite frankly, are fed up with having an automobile dealership in a residential district. I did speak with people at MTA today about looking for some ordinance or something that we can do to stop this, because apparently everyone thinks it's okay. We've had a lot of inspections and a lot of people have seen this and they think it's perfectly fine to have it in a residential district. I don't think this is what you want homes in this township to look like, quite frankly. And I know that there's nobody there who would like to live next to this, who on Saturday night would like to have some people working in the garages, hearing the noise, hearing people delivering their cars. This is not what we would like to have. We're not picky in my subdivision, I must add. We'd like your lawn to be cut, your bushes to be trimmed. Other than that, we're not picky, okay? But this is out of sorts, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. I've reached the brink of my endurance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak? No, just a reminder, this is the only time of the meeting to come up and speak. Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Next, we'll go to approving the board minutes of June 10th, 2024. Unless there's any changes, I look for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Murray,
Support.
support by trustee Kalinsky. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, so that passes. And next we'll go on to the South Bloomfield Highlands Water Main Project. And we have Director Corey Almus. Is Noah here today too, or just,
I'm sorry?
is Noah here with you today, or?
Noah's here.
He's back there.
Good evening, board. I'll try to be quick with this, but very thorough. With us here tonight from Planning, Building, Ordinance Director Patty Volker, Building Official Chris Fox, and Deputy Director Andrew Bibby. From Engineering, ESD, Township Engineer Angie Heisinger's here. From DPW, Noah Mahalski, Paul Pallas is here, Asset Management Coordinator. From DPW, Noah Mahalski, DPW Superintendent Paul Horan, and DPW Manager Adam Roos is here. And from HRC, Karen Stickles here as well. So a lot of what we're going to be covering tonight is primarily, you can see the agenda there, but we're mostly going to focus on the residential service connections, those responsibilities. I think we're very clear on the need for the SAD, the existing system, and that it's failing and no longer meeting the needs of fire protection. And on top of that, the water quality is declining. So the SAD is consisting of new 8-inch water main throughout the South Bloomfield Highlands subdivision, all within the right of way, including new gate valves, gate wells, hydrants, and water services from the main to the property line with new stop boxes located at the property line. It's roughly 14,450 feet of new water main plan for this project. When we talk about water services, you see in the blue line, the thicker blue line there, bear with me, would be the new water main. The public water service line would be that line that goes from the main to the property line, and you see the stop box there. The private water service line would be from the stop box to the house, where there's the shut-off valves. Oh, good Lord. The shut-off valves, and that's where the meter would be installed. So the residential service connection, the residents would be required to coordinate with this project the individual water meter installation and service connection from the stop box to the home with the plumbing contractor. Residents can choose to have a plumbing contractor install a new 1-inch water service line from the stop box to the house. The resident can also opt to use the existing water service line, providing the following: verification of the existing service line location, prove that there's no evidence of cross-contamination or illicit connections, and prove there's no evidence of lead lines or galvanized lines previously connected to lead. So a couple other depictions of, I just wanted to show, there's an example of what a stop box would look like at this location here in the upper right. In the lower left, we're showing examples of what an illicit connection would be. An illicit connection is basically a connection from that line before the meter. So in the case of South Bloomfield Highlands, we'll get into this deeper in a little while, but a few of the houses are metered out there, or there are houses that are out there metered. An illicit connection would only be at a connection before the meter. So once with this project, when meters are installed at each of these houses and there are lines connected prior to that meter, that would constitute an illicit connection. Responsibilities from each department. DPW took care of the cleaning and televising of the existing sanitary sewer system that was important for this project. We wanted to have a clear understanding of the condition of the sanitary sewer before construction began. If there's an issue out there, we have evidence of that. DPW locating existing drainage structures and manholes. They've completed both of those two tasks. Assist SBH in the locating of the existing water services. Assist with identifying cross connection and illicit connections. identifying existing water service material, copper, lead, and galvanized. I believe they're right around 20 there that we've assisted with, not identified, but assisted with identifying what that material, that ruling out the lead, basically. And then the township will replace if we do encounter any lead or partially lead or galvanized services previously connected to lead, the township would replace those service lines at the township's expense per the state. PBO, their responsibilities are the plumbing permits. Yes, even though the cost of the permit has been absorbed by water and sewer, and not the residents, the residents will still be required to obtain a plumbing permit. And then PBO will also coordinate with the homeowners or the contractors the plumbing inspections that will need to take place. So the plumbing, this is a new slide, but the plumbing and water service permits and inspection process would consist of the residents hire a plumbing contractor to do the following: apply for the plumbing permit and water sewer services permit in the planning, building, and ordinances department to make the connection from their home to the new stop box location with new or existing water service lines, and to install a new water meter. No permit fees are required with these permits. After picking up the permits from the planning, building, and ordinance department, the contractor will then be directed to pick up the new water meter from the Department of Public Works. Now, the one thing I want to note with this is that depending on whether or not the property owner wants to use their existing service line, it's important that they know what size service line, the existing service line. Through this process or project, we're installing 1-inch service to the stop box. The homeowner or the contractor can, if they're opting to use their existing service line, there's no evidence of cross-contamination or illicit connections, and they meet that criteria, they can utilize their existing service lines, but they'll need to know if it's a 1-inch or 3/4, and have to get the appropriate meter in that process. So it's important for the residents to know that. So from there, they would schedule inspections online. The township plumbing inspector will inspect the connections of the water service line to the stop box for the new water main, and then the township plumbing inspector would inspect the installation of the new water meter inside the residence. Timeline to date, I just added this, just important dates. We initially had the SAD information meeting on June 13 of 23. The Board of Trust meeting on January 8, the public hearing of necessity. Moving down a couple lines, on May 15, plans were submitted to Eagle. In the last line there, June 24, that's today, Eagle permit was received. That's good news. Tentative project schedule, again, the Eagle permit, and we do have our COC permits. In August, we're going to advertise the project. September, we'll let the project, bid letting, Board of Trust meeting in September to award the project, and then the scheduled public hearing is September 23. Time of completion for this project, the anticipated start of construction right around October 14, substantial completion October 31 of 2025, with final completion in April of 2026. And that's decommissioning of the existing well system. So substantial completion would be water main installed, service lines to the property line are installed, and then final completion would be, and decommissioning of the site would be April 30, 2026. The decommissioning of the existing private well system after the new meter water main has been placed into service, and the existing water distribution system and well system is going to be taken offline and decommissioned. Residents will be asked to connect to the new system in a timely manner. That's so the HOA doesn't have to pay for the continued operation of and delay the decommissioning of the existing well system. The quicker that the residents are connected to the new system, the quicker, the sooner we can decommission that existing well system and no longer have to operate that. Connections to the new system must be made within 90 days once the water main adjacent to your home has been placed into service. Again, timing on this is critical. Additional items, we just wanted to mention this, site restoration. If homeowners have or property owners have any work done by plumbers on their private property, by plumbing contractors, that work is not, restoration work is not included in the SAD. That would be on their contractor to do that. Or do that on their own. Access and safety during construction. Again, this is a construction project. There's heavy equipment. We caution residents to just be careful around the construction activities as it's going on. Emergency response, police, fire, and EMS will have a complete access to the homes throughout the project as it's going on. Survey staking, residents will see survey stakes out there, and I believe they see them out there now. When the surveyors come out, this is the residents' money. It's very costly to have survey crews go back out there. So any messing with those stakes, sometimes children like to pull the stakes out of the ground and have sword fights with them. That's money. That's your money being wasted. So if you see that happening, let us know or direct the kids not to do that. Garbage and recycling and mail delivery services, that will not be interrupted. You'll have even through construction. So what we've done from the last board meeting is that we've compiled all the questions. We've got the basically the script that was read at the last meeting, and we've gone item by item and add them to the question. So or add them to the presentation. So what we'll do is go through one by one real quickly. Why will properties have additional expenses for permits? And we've already covered that. The permit fees will be or have been waived. But the plumbers to connect the water main after the township stated there would not be additional charge other than $500 to $1,000 based on the length of the new service being installed. I don't know where the $500 to $1,000 came, but the ESD and HRC have been very clear from the start of this that the SAD portion of this consisted of the work within the right of way. So any connections to the main on the private side would be the responsibility of the homeowners to make those connections, and that hasn't changed. Why is each homeowner required to get a $205 building permit to connect? Again, the permit has been waived, but the homeowners will still be required to obtain a permit through PB&O for this work.
But it'll be free of charge.
It'll be free of charge.
I just want to make sure.
Okay. If every home was permitted and inspected when originally constructed, why is there a need for additional permit and inspection? I'm going to defer that to PB&O to respond, but the general rule of thumb is anytime there's new construction, especially for homes that were built 60 years ago, plus or minus, there is a need for new permitting. Am I getting that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So that's why permits will be required for this work. Why is SBH being treated differently than other water main projects? So the Village project was back in the 1960s. That's when it's my understanding that Detroit Water and Sewer took over an existing system and it was not replaced. So in doing that in the 60s, they just basically took ownership of and connected to the existing water distribution system in the Village. Fast forward 60 years, again, the plumbing code has changed. And in this project specifically, it's not taking ownership of an existing system. It's the replacement of the existing failing system and connecting to a new, having 5 connections to the township's water distribution system. So with that, and on top of that, the South Bloomfield Highlands have, again, we've been informed that there could be potential cross connections and illicit connections after the meters are installed. It is the township's responsibility to make sure that there is no evidence or potential for cross-contamination, and that is our primary concern there. So it's not an apples in that question, it's not an apples to apples scenario, okay? The added cost to the private owners or property owners for the planning or plumbing work and the residential side of the stop box and on top of the SAD estimated cost is a little bait and switch. And that comment's been made before. Again, the township has been very consistent with what the SAD consists of, and that's the water main installation, the stop or the services to the stop boxes at the property line. We've been consistent at that. Our team has been, I believe, proactive in informing the HOA and the residents of that fact that any connections to the new system is going to be the responsibility of the homeowner at their expense. Having each property owner hire their own plumbing, multiple private contractors, and making connections to the new service over a 90-day drop dead period is near impossible and will add time to the project and shut down the wells. The 90 days is, again, as we saw in the tentative timeline, it's that process doesn't start necessarily when that pipe is installed or after the last pipe is installed. That process can start now, okay? That coordination piece can start now. So it's essentially you've got a year from the construction even beginning for that construction work to be completed. So there's a lot of time available to coordinate this work. And now the 90-day period was in a conversation with the HOA board members to say, if we don't decommission this site, we're delaying the contractor from, or if we don't encourage or incentivize residents to make their connection, we're delaying the decommissioning of the existing well system. So what is your preference? So the longer people are on that existing system, the longer the HOA is responsible for maintaining it. So the sooner the better. So it was in a conversation with the HOA that 90 days be implemented in this project. And we thought that was a fair 3 months after the pipe is installed for the residents to make that connection. Backfilling the trench for the plumbing contractor excavate makes the connection seems to be inefficient, makes no sense. That can be coordinated simply by and that'll take some collaboration with whatever, when we bid the project, contracts awarded, the contractors doing the work. If the property owner or homeowner has a plumbing permit or has a contractor line up, that coordination is pretty simple. So if we need to leave that hole exposed for their plumbing contractor to come in and make that connection, they make the connection, it's witnessed by the plumbing inspector, the meter's installed, there's no cross-contamination or illicit connections. Once that's done, it's an easy process. It's something we can coordinate with them. Are there enough plumbing inspectors on staff to handle the anticipated volume of work? We spoke with PBO today. They're confident that they can manage this entire project. Anything to add on that, Pat? Okay. With respect to locating the existing water service lines and stop boxes, is there any flexibility with June 23rd deadline? The answer is that yes. The HOA hired D'Angelo to locate the service lines for those residents who are up to date with their dues. They were out there Saturday and today. They've made very good progress. I think they're at 60 at this point. They intend to be out the rest of the week and locating every single one of the stop boxes or attempt to locate the stop boxes. DPW staff was out there today. D'Angelo's been in contact with DPW. They couldn't locate a couple. We've identified a few of them and determined that some of them are rear yard service lines. So there's going to be some discussions with those homeowners when that time comes. So we'll know here by the end of the week, or should know by the end of the week what are remaining, but we don't think that extending it a week, maybe 2 weeks, is going to cause us problem for the bidding tentative schedule. The township stated they would assist with locating the existing stop boxes. To date, they have not helped us at all. Again, we're attempting to, any residents are calling us, we're trying to coordinate that, get a list of them, and then go out and assist where we need to. Today's case in point. When HRC was placing water service line at stakes, they told SBHIA board member that they could not understand why they, HRC, was not locating the stop boxes they normally do on other water main jobs. HRC does not, surveyors do not go out and search for stop boxes. Now, if a stop box is misdug and available, they'll shoot it. They'll the survey crews, but survey crews do not, nor HRC does not go out and locate stop boxes. So I don't know where that came from. SBH was told that they would receive weekly status reports. The only updates we receive is when I, Jim Tassin, call. Well, I spoke twice last week with and attempted to call Jim, but he was out of town. I do collaborate if there's any questions, but bottom line is until the construction begins, there's really, and we receive the report back or any changes in the process, there's really nothing to report. If there are any questions, we're always available to answer and promptly return calls. So case in point, I talked to one of the board members last week on Friday for nearly 40 minutes. So we are in touch with them and respond accordingly. SBH is requesting that this project to be constructed just like all new service and connect them to existing service when the new service is installed without the building plumbing permit being required. Again, it's not an apples to apples scenario. So again, permits will be required and plumbing inspection will be required for this project. Inspection should be done by DPW staff as the current practice with a tap fee. A tap and a service connection are not the same thing. A tap is when you're tapping the main directly. This is connection at the property line. Treat our project the same as all past projects. Don't change the rules. Remember, each homeowner was built under a permit from the township. Everything met requirements, including plumbing. Again, we're anticipating several years ago, and codes have changed along with plumbing codes. So that needs to be inspected and updated accordingly with this project. There's a concern that maybe cross connections with irrigation systems. That's quickly corrected by when the meters are installed, and the tech can look on that issue. We're relying on there's the plumbing contractor hired to look for these issues, whether it's cross contamination or any other illicit connections. We're relying on the plumbing inspector to make those observations too. If there's any concern at all, DPW would do that and be involved in that. And then we also, as Noah mentioned in previous presentations, we have HydroCorp available as well to make those observations. There are some property owners that are having financial difficulties directly related to this project. Are there any CDBG funding opportunities through the township that can be diverted to those that qualify to help offset those expenses? Yes, there are. I'll get into that here in a little bit, but there are funding opportunities available. Is there anything the property owners need to have done by a plumber going forward? Yes, as we've discussed earlier, they will need to pull a plumbing permit and have a plumber perform the work, installation of a meter, regardless of if the property has an existing meter. They will be provided a new meter to install through the meter program, and also make that connection. SBH is requesting that townships absorb the costs of the contractor for locating the existing stop boxes. Is that possible? That's a question for legal, I believe. I don't have the authority to answer that. It was mentioned that the township believes there are several illicit connections. What is the definition of an illicit connection? Once meters are installed through this, connections were multiple connections on a service line. I've been informed were permitted in South Bloomfield Highlands. So once a meter is installed in the house, then that connection then becomes an illicit connection. And what that is a bypassing of the meter, whether it's to an irrigation system or other parts of the house. So we have to, and then what that creates is a potential cross connection. So our definition of an illicit connection is once the meter is installed, if there's any connections to that service line prior to the meter, that would be considered an illicit connection. I'm getting close here. What actions are taken when illicit connections are discovered? Boy, Noah, do you want to answer that one?
You come on up.
We will work with the property owner to correct that. So illicit connection, that's those bypass type situations where the meter's being bypassed. We should be able to tell, excuse me, with our technology that that's occurring. And then we'll work with the property owner to correct that. We have bypasses that are discovered all the time within the township. They're prohibited by ordinance, and we kind of work. It depends on the severity of the bypass and the ability to correct it. If it's discovered inside the home in a crawl space versus underground, that's going to kind of tell the difference in that. As far as a cross connection, it would again depend on the severity. Some cross connections are low hazard and some cross connections are high hazard. If it was a high hazard cross connection, we'd be a little more stringent on it. But there's probably not many of those cases out there. Those would be like a boiler makeup system that's connected to the water system, or maybe if you inject fertilizer into a irrigation system as well. That would be that type of a cross connection, could be possible. But there's very specific devices required when those are present, and we'll work with them to, if there is not a imminent public health concern, we'll work with them to correct those.
Thank you, Noah.
Yep.
Oh, no, don't go far. I need you for this one too. Every SBH resident has been paying into the sewer fund for many years. Each resident is a member of the system to some degree. Each sewer customer was paying the maximum costs for sewage until they were allowed to install meters around 2004 to meter their usage. Can the township absorb any of the costs of this project based on revenue the SBH residents have paid in the past?
So water and sewer fees, first, commingling of the fees that are paid currently for the sewer portion of the bill cover the costs that are germane to that portion of the bill. So they are calculated based on our supplier costs and the cost to achieve sewer treatment and the volumes that we expect from the township. So the funds don't commingle until they get to the reserve section. Additionally, our sewer bills, if you don't have a meter, it's based on the township average. So it's not a maximum cost. It's actually the true average of the users within our system. That does include irrigation. So, if it's a low irrigation neighborhood, there could be some discrepancies there, but it is based on an average. Plus the township, you have the ability to install a meter to meter your flow. What I kind of caution people is that is set on an average. So if you install a meter and you use more than our average, then you're going to pay more based on your actual consumption. So, theoretically, half the township uses more than that average and half use less. So you have to kind of be educated about your water use before you do that. But it is based on the township average. So, and again, the commingling of the funds from the way our sewer funds are set. I will point out that the water system has, supported this program from the meter, the direct connection charges, and the permit fee. So we do have skin in the game, and that was at my direction. So,
SBH is very much in favor of keeping the project on fast track and believes that the township assistance, we can meet the goal. SBH is not asking for extension in months, but maybe a few days, a week to locate the service lines. Again, we don't think that's going to be an issue. as D'Angelo's making progress out there. SPH is asking to keep the estimated individual costs of the SAT to roughly $40,000 if possible. Again, I mean, the bids are going to determine that, where the bids come in. So I don't know that I can comment any further on that at this point. How long, this is another one, how long, or last slide, I think, how long does it take or how long does the water travel prior to the homes? Detroit to
35 miles.
35 miles?
It comes from Lake Huron, so
Oh, even longer.
this one's debatable.
Yeah. How does the township verify the integrity of the township's water distribution system? Well, age, material, and main break frequency.
Asset management planning, capital programs that are supported at the rate and board level, meeting and exceeding federal and state regulations for the water system, which is huge because obviously there's a lot of things coming up all the time. So in a nutshell, all of those operations kind of keep it just, operating in an integral water distribution system.
Time frame is not as important as doing the project right. Well, yes and no. This was just a comment by an attendee 2 weeks ago, last board meeting. So we want to be very thorough, but understanding the condition of the existing system, we want to move this project forward, and the board has given us direction to move as quickly as possible on this. And at this point, we're I think on pace or even ahead of schedule. What are you going to do for people who cannot pay? This is getting back to the CDBG funding opportunities. I spoke with Christine Travois today, and with Patty's recommendation too. I just want to commend both of them for their assistance with this. But Bloomfield Township Senior Services, contact Jeff Howes. His phone number there, 248-723-3500 for the CDBG Minor Home Repair Program guidelines. There's funding up to $5,000 for residents who qualify and meet that criteria. If their project goes over $5,000, I think it's up to $23,000. Residents can also contact Oakland County through the Neighborhood and Housing Development Home Improvement Program at 248-858-0493. And the email is oh goodness, can I read that?
NHD.
NHD@oakgov.com. And then there's the website link. We have recently started to add updates on the township website under engineering and project updates. So any notifications that were mailed to residents, the tentative project schedule is posted there. We'll post this presentation up there. Any permitting requirements that will be on the website right there at the anybody's interest or access that needs it. So we're going to try to be a little bit more proactive in providing this or even giving access to the residents that are asking questions. So give them a point and click kind of access to it. So that's the end of my presentation. If the board has any other additional questions, we've got the team here to answer them.
Does anyone else want to add anything on the team? Anyone? All right, let's open it up. Neil?
Is someone prepared to address Jim's concern and question about the depreciation issue on the system, what's been paid in, moving forward, 20 years paying it out, another 50 years of additional appreciation on top of the prior depreciation in the system that they paid into?
Yeah, I'll cover it as much as I can for Jason. The depreciation is calculated by the pipes currently in the ground and the cost incrementally to replace those pipes when they come due. So it's only kind of funding the pipes that are in the ground. In this case, if you're paying into the sewer fund, those funds are earmarked for sewer costs to replace those pipes in the future. It's an accounting methodology to generate capital improvement funding.
And this might be a question for Mark. Can the township absorb some of these costs, the connection fees and the additional ancillary fees on top of the SAD?
Some of the fees can be addressed, and the township can cover them. I believe the township's already indicated it's going to be covering some of the permitting costs, and
Connection
perhaps
fees.
the inspection fees, I think, was part of that. And I know there was a specific question about locating the stop boxes. We can't really use public funding for private infrastructure purposes. I can look into that. My gut reaction is no, because I frankly believe Dirk already looked into this. But I can take a second look at it and see if there's a method for doing that if directed.
I would be interested in that. And as far as reimbursement or payment for the location of the stop boxes, the connection fee to, connecting to the water line.
You mean like running the lead to
Yeah.
the home? That's not going to be something that we can cover unless I believe the state has a program for lead lines
Yes.
where we're able to do that. But
Flood.
as a practical matter, that's the homeowner does the lead.
As long as we're clear on what we can and can't cover
Yeah.
legally. And then the other concern I really have, in addition to those, it's great that Chris may have some programs through the senior center that can assist some of the residents, but $5,000 for those who really can't afford this project is nothing. And I'm very concerned about many of the residents many who were here last time, and there's just no way that they can afford this project, and they're just going to be upside down in their homes, or they're going to lose their homes. And I don't want to have any part of having people lose their homes because of this project. So I think we need to come up with something as a township that is much more proactive to protect our residents, whether it's internal or through the county. But we have got to do something quickly, because we're going to have seniors, we're going to have veterans losing their homes, because that's a lot of money. Their homes this could be 25, 30% of the value of some of their homes. So I think it's critical that we do this.
Anybody else? Anyone else have any questions or comments? Chris?
Thank you for going through all the different questions from people. Obviously, they've all had these questions. Now we can address each one individually. Has the township ever taken ownership of water system and replaced the entire water system? Do we know that?
Has the township ever taken ownership of a water system and replaced the water system?
With time in between, like several, 50 years or so, but I'm not aware of one where the system was turned over and we completely replaced the system prior to bringing them on to the township.
Because normally back in the 60s, when there were different regulations in place, we took over these systems, or Detroit did. Currently, we are unable to do that because the system is actually failing. Not just the well, but all the pipes and the lines.
It doesn't meet current standard.
So we cannot allow that system to be connected to ours, because we are not willing to hurt our entire system for a small subdivision who needs the help, correct? That is the reason we're replacing the entire system.
You're not allowed to hurt everyone else. You can't jeopardize the one. That's why Eagle's involved. Yeah, so that's our desire not to do that, and it also is illegal.
It's illegal, so we have a legal obligation to replace the entire system and not just hook up to it and shut the wells off.
Correct.
So that's question A. Question B, as Neil had pointed out, the depreciation money the township residents have paid is specifically for the sewer system that's in the ground. They have never been paying into the water system or paying for any type of depreciation associated with the water system. Where other residents who do have water to their homes have been paying a depreciation schedule as such. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, the reserves have been commingled. So there could be reserves for monies that they have put in that are now in reserve that could be utilized for either system. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't think look for guidance on that, on what specifically the item was.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Any other questions or comments?
I support what Trustee Barnett said, that, you know, that this is a difficult situation and not one where we would want to have people be, you know, jeopardize losing their home over. On the other hand, our hands are tied. It's only so much that we can actually pay for. So it puts us in a real awkward position as well. And I think I thought about what Christine does, because I've talked to her about that, the program where they help, and 5,000, you know, would be help, but might not be enough. Might gives people a little bit of a, you know, patch, but it seems like that's not going to be enough if you're in dire need for more support.
Would it be 23,000 plus the 5,000? Or is it 23 total including our 5,000?
Yeah, so through the Oakland County, I've been informed that the Oakland County is a 0% interest loan that only is paid back when the homeowner sells the house. So that 23,000 is through the Oakland County Neighborhood and Housing Development through the Home Improvement Program. The 5,000 is just it's a CDBG minor home repair program that the eligible recipient could just use for situations just like this. And that won't cover the SAD, but it'll cover a big portion of the work that they potentially would need on their property, whether it's the plumbing, installation of the meter, making the connection, or even if the homeowner chooses, they'd cover a big chunk of installing a new service line directly to their meter, which is, again, our recommendation to have that, just to have a new service line installed completely.
So if you apply for one, it doesn't stop you from applying from it's not like one or.
Correct.
It can be both.
It's my understanding, Danny, yes, you can apply for both.
I would just add that I believe we typically only get $50,000 in CDBG funding each year. So that's basically 10 projects that we could afford to pay.
Well, it's based, and that one's based on, the CDBG grant is based on income levels.
It
You
is,
have to
yeah.
qualify.
Home values,
And I don't think that one is.
age of the homeowner, home values, and income and savings.
But is the Oakland County one also based on low income, or is it based
Yeah.
on anybody could apply?
No, it's based on income. I think they're a little bit more or less stringent for the Oakland County loan, but there still is criteria there that needs to be met.
So something Neil had mentioned is trying to find ways for the township to absorb or offset some of these costs. And from my understanding, the township, at your direction, has absorbed the meter fee, the connection fee, which a normal homeowner, if I built a home in the township, I'd be paying for those, and I'd be paying for an inspection fee. Is that correct?
Yes.
So the township, from the things we are legally allowed to do, have tried to absorb some of the costs. Is that correct?
Yeah, and up front, we said that they were going to be subject to those costs, in fact. So we definitely, as we've come through, the decision-making process has changed, and we have met on those costs. Yes.
When we're legally allowed to, we do.
Correct, yeah. So that's what Neil was mentioning is what costs can we offset, and are we able to maximize those?
It's that
Up to this
private
point.
property barrier that we're working up against.
Correct,
right
and
now.
using public funds to put improvements on private property
Right.
is where we come into an issue legally.
Yes.
Perfect.
Well,
Thank
that's where the CDBG, you know, because I know I've talked with Christine, and, you know, people that have needed front porch steps that were falling apart, they didn't have the money, roof repair. There's all kinds of projects that they help people with. It is based on need, but it's a wonderful program.
Yeah, I think that'll be a great opportunity for somebody to pay for that connection from the system to their home if they qualify. But again, that only covers up to $5,000 if they qualify. And we have seen variety of costs when it comes to that connection, right? Depending on the length, where it is in the home, if it's on the backside, they have to run a whole new line, and the contractors they have. Again, I know they've worked with you guys to try to get maybe a list of certain contractors are approved or contractors have been vetted. But again, those costs can vary.
Anybody else have any questions, comments?
Again, probably back to Mark.
Sure.
When do you think you can get the information to us as far as what we can cover financially?
Well, I know you probably want it tomorrow morning.
Probably.
But I have a bit more time than that, maybe a week.
Because Dirk's already done some of it, so they could
Yeah,
collaborate together.
I actually spoke with Dirk earlier today, and he has looked into this, and I'll touch base with him and see if there's areas that I can explore that maybe he didn't look at. And I'll work with these gentlemen too to find out precisely what items are as they're defined and what they're actually improving, and that may give us a little bit more leeway. But again, I'm gonna have to.
You think maybe you guys could get back to us by Friday or by Thursday?
Yeah, I will make that effort anyway.
Anybody else have any questions or comments?
I've got one. You know, I'm not a plumber, and you just said this is complicated stuff.
It is.
And, you know, it makes me very apprehensive and worried. To put myself in their shoes and say, okay, if I lived here, how am I going to get this done? How am I going to? Do I need? What do I need to do really? How can I plan to do this financially? And I get it. I don't get it because I'm not there, but I feel the apprehension. I'm sure you can too. And anything we can do, if there's more resources the board can provide to your departments, please ask us. I don't know what we'll do, but
right.
If there's anything else that can be added to help with this, I'm throwing out an idea. I mean, maybe there's a playbook that could even be prepared that rather than just PowerPoint or presentations, but something that could be handed out that people could refer to and think about, and with a little workbook of fill in some numbers here and make some plans, because it's a big task that's challenging even the most sophisticated homeowners to really grapple with the complexity of all of this and getting it done.
Yeah, no doubt, Martin, and that's a great point. This project itself, on top of being very expensive, it's overwhelming, and we understand that. And I just envision my mother having to go through a project like this and what she would do, and not having an engineer son there for her. But if any resident has questions and wants to talk to our staff or myself, I'm available. I learned just on Friday that the HOA is having a board meeting tomorrow, that on their website they advertise that DPW staff or ESD staff would be in attendance. I'll be there. I'm double booked with our open house for Safety Path, but I'm committed to this project. I'm committed to the residents. I'll answer questions. I've offered to come to the board meetings there, and I'll do it to try to help ease some of the frustrations and anxiety that's going along with this. I get it. It is confusing. It is expensive, but I think Patty even mentioned earlier today that to have that playbook available, so to speak, to guide the residents step by step through this process and what they need to do. So that's going to take a lot of coordination.
Something like that actually I think is really helpful. I mean, I can hear it as many times as you can tell me, but I can't write it fast enough. I don't really understand it for sure, but I don't know what it would look like.
Well,
if I were a homeowner and I had something in writing, I kind of think about study, a checklist, a workbook for financial stuff.
So again, we'll have this presentation, this PowerPoint online to kind of jar memories of, okay, what did you say here again? Or what did Corey say? Or what did Noah mention? And we'll have it on there. And if they want to contact, email, call, we'll respond. And we're happy to do it. So
could we do though to their points of just a quick checklist of step one, step two. These are the things that we'll be doing. These are the things you'll need.
Yeah.
This is the order.
Yeah, and like I was gonna say, that a lot of that too is dependent on what the homeowner is trying to do. And
Well, you can say
one-
option, if, like a choose your own adventure book. If you choose this, go to this page. We still have those facilities.
some of that,
Right,
Danny, and
step two.
and a lot of this is based on who, if the HOA selects a contractor or contractors to perform this work and offer basically that private piece on private property, what they want to do. I want a new service line. I want to use my existing service line. I need a new meter or a meter installed. They have to know what is expected of them with this project, and everybody will need a meter. And if they already have one, they'll be getting a new meter regardless. So, and again requires permit and plumber. So
We have the awesome BCTV that can help with a really cool looking checklist.
okay.
Right, guys?
I mean, even one of the things you said earlier was at the end of this project, each homeowner has to disconnect from the service that's there and connect to this new service. And I don't even know how someone would do that. I mean, there's only one service line into the house, and how do you disconnect and connect? How many days don't they have water? I mean, these are things I'd really be worried about if I were a homeowner.
Yep.
You say it, I can understand that that's something that has to happen, but if I'm there, how I'm going to accomplish that, and not have really understand how I'm going to have water service and get something like that is easy to say.
Yeah.
But in my I can't wrap my head around how I would do that.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's kind of the stuff that I think we could be more specific about to help understand in a playbook or checklist or whatever it is.
Right.
That's maybe the engineer.
Well,
You got it nailed.
Well,
I'm a lawyer.
I grew up in this line of work, so I take it for granted, right? And I've been in the trenches doing the work, so I take it for granted that I know how the process is done, and maybe don't explain that like I should. But I'm also cautious to in what I say to homeowners, where a plumber might come in and say something completely opposite of what I'm saying, or do it differently than what I'm suggesting. So if they're gonna whatever methodology the plumber is suggesting, it might be more cost beneficial to the resident than what I did 30 years ago.
And we could have you work with Mark and Dirk too on legally, what can you say, but also realizing if the plumber has a better option and it's better for you,
Yes.
these are just suggestions.
Yeah, exactly.
But like in terms of what Martin was saying, that's kind of the 90-day recommendation is that, they come in and say it was my house and I switch from the access to the well. I'm sure it takes your water out for some hours or whatever, and you go to the main water line and now you're with the township. But there's 200 lots.
Yeah.
So that's why the 90 days, the well would still be functioning.
Right.
So you're gonna have water.
Yes.
It's still, I'm sure, a daunting procedure, but you're gonna have water, and it's just a matter of getting everybody switched over so that you can take the access away from
Right.
the lower volume well and everybody be completed.
Well, that's a good point, and it's not the intent. Our intent with this project is to phase it. Okay, so through the first phase or first street, or from gate to gate, we give that notification. Even before then, we'll let residents know our construction schedule on your street is going to be from this time to this time, well in advance of construction even beginning. So be prepared. So now once the pipe is installed and been chlorinated, treated, flushed and ready to be connected to, those homeowners then say, okay, here's your 90-day start time.
Right, it's not gonna all happen on the same day or the same week.
No,
It's gonna be a transition,
it will be,
How
right?
technically-
And phased accordingly for each street.
street by street.
Yep.
How long is the estimated time that somebody on the switchover would be out of water?
Oh, it's whatever the depending on what they want. It's no more than less than a day, right? So half a day if they're going to run a new service line. They can even do that in advance of the plumbing contractor can run the pipe from the house to where the new stop box is going to be located, and then make that connection so that the downtime is very simple.
Can we hold on one second, let me finish the thought. Can we legally provide water during that time? Like if we knew that there was somebody, a boil water alert, we sometimes make water available.
Yeah, a 2 hour
This
time frame is very typical. 2 to 4 hours to switch people over. That's no. That would
If it's
we would
longer than
recommend that they come and have it ready to go right at the line. Then you're just making a connection down on the box.
Okay.
If it were staged where they had to do an all new service line, you'd just leave till the next day. You'd leave them on the old system.
Okay.
Once it's up there at the road, you switch them over. You wouldn't even wait for them to board the whole line up. Or sorry, I keep
Right, I didn't finish that. You can go next.
so it's 2 to 4 hours, depending on, was the hole there already? Were we able to coordinate, or did we have to dig another hole? That's probably makes the difference between the 2 and 4 hours. So
The other thing to play in there that I'm just thinking about it now is that the plumbing work, whatever it was, the homeowner did, would need to be inspected.
Mhm.
So do we have enough inspectors to be on site to make sure there's no delay, that every one of these houses during this process is gonna get an immediate inspection without delay? And because I know this is a challenging environment to get.
hire additional
Well, we actually have already hired. Do you want to tell them about some of the contracts that we have signed for additional help?
We do have part-time plumbing inspectors that we do reach out to. One individual we reach out to who's available as needed basis, but we also have a contract with Carlisle Wortman, their Code Enforcement Services Division, of which that's how we are now providing the mechanical inspector, through those contractual services. They have, we do have access to plumbing inspectors as well, of which when we have a schedule, we will then meet with them to lay out what our expectations are for their current staff, our part-time staff, and then their assistants. But it's also going to be coordinated as well, as we're talking about, so that there will be a priority of inspections because of that time frame by phases, in addition to the inspections that we'll be performing township-wide.
Great.
So would the homeowners be able to schedule an inspection and the plumber on the same day by
The
appointment?
contractor will be making the scheduling, and they can do it online, but we'll be coordinating with the phasing, as I said before.
Because if they had to wait days or a week for that inspection, then they're not gonna be able to turn the water on, correct?
Understood. And no, it'll be as we hear and try to coordinate, because it's also for efficiency as well.
Yeah.
Because that contractor might be doing multiple homes as well.
Val, when construction begins to, as far as the progress updates go, it's our intent to have weekly progress, maybe depending on the necessity of it, bi-weekly progress meetings or every other week with the project. PBO will be involved in that, and the plumbing inspectors, HRC, ESD, DPW, the HOA. We all intend to keep everybody well informed as construction is happening.
Great.
So
Thank you.
that'll assist when we determine what the phasing will be and what homes will be ready for connection to the new system.
Any other questions, comments? How would you like to ask a question, Mark? It's a good one.
Just a real quick question. Just for everybody's edification, I know the township is going to be funding the permitting process, but the homeowners or their contractors will need to secure the permit. How much time should they allow for that permitting process between the application and when the permit's issued? Just for planning.
As long as they have the necessary information to be able to complete the permit application forms, they can make application. The sooner the better, which actually assists us with coordination, especially if it's going to be, by block, by streets. So that's why we were speaking of having these weekly meetings to see where we are, and if need be, reaching out to homeowners to see where they are or who they're working with. The more information that we have along the way, obviously within this time frame, the better we will be prepared to coordinate that and be a little bit more specific to that question that you're asking.
But
Can they apply now?
The people that are planning to do this, it's going to take more than a day to turn those around.
Well,
I would assume.
it is going to be a priority, but it might not necessarily be a delay, because as long as the information is complete, we understand what the work is going to be
being asked of. We can turn around those fairly quickly. Sometimes it could be actually happen that day, or maybe it's going to be the day after, or it might be a little bit longer. Again, sometimes there's a little bit more involved, especially if there's some additional work that's necessary, because every residence might be a little different.
And to help speed that up, is that something people can start maybe looking at the website to figure out what information is needed?
We'll be having that posted on the website. We'll actually have links to the forms themselves, so they can see what information is necessary. Okay.
Anyone else? Thank you all for coming and helping.
Thank you.
And then you'll get, some of the coverage of what Dirk's been guiding us on what's legal and not legal. All right, thank you very much. So next we will go to approval of the 2024 industrial waste control charges by Adam Roos, our Public Works Manager.
Just as we're starting that, I just noticed, and it's in my oversight, I've got Adam on here at 4 and 8. Could I make a motion to amend the agenda to move 8 right after 4? And that way Adam can cover both things at one time?
Yeah, and Noah's actually going to do the 8th item.
Oh, then never mind. Okay, no.
So we have a motion to amend the agenda by Clerk Brooke.
Support.
Support by Trustee Kalinsky. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
That does pass.
Thank you.
Even though it's Noah. All right, thank you, Adam.
Okay, so the industrial waste control charges, something we get approved on an annual basis. The charges are assessed to all commercial and industrial customers that send water to Great Lakes Water Authority wastewater treatment plant. The IWC charges are to offset costs incurred in administering regulatory activities under the Sewer Use Ordinance, Industrial Waste Control Ordinance, as required in the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System Permit Program and the Clean Water Act. Annually, these charges are straight pass-through cost paid to GLEWA through the Oakland County Water Resource Commission. There are no administrative charges. Further, these charges are levied to commercial accounts and are not applicable to any residential accounts. In Bloomfield Township, out of approximately 13,000 sewer customers, these are only levied on 400 customers. The updated 2024-25 costs will become effective for billings rendered on or after July 1st and reflect a 2% increase in the previous year's charges. Staff recommends that the accompanying resolution be approved.
Do you have any questions for Adam? No, then I look for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Barnett, support by Trustee Kalinsky. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That passes. Next, we have Director Noah Mahalski for the consider allocation of American Rescue Plan Act ARPA funds for Puro Clean Services in support of Township's continuity of government and asset management planning.
Thank you, Martin, and thank you, everyone, for
Sorry about not
allowing me up here.
It was my fault initially.
No worries. So, interesting kind of nexus of projects. We have been working with Puro Clean, who's a disaster relief company, for a few years, and it's kind of the relationship is twofold. We had a couple disasters, some flooding in the senior center that we needed some mold remediation for, and some wet area cleanup, that type of thing. So that's one area of their program. The second area of their program is an asset management piece, and it's really pre-disaster training or preparation. We will have them come in and they scan our facilities. They do 3D scanning on the facilities. They pick up all mechanical equipment, all serial numbers, all of the information that will allow our people to kind of manage the assets. And when I say that, instead of walking, there's a couple guys in our maintenance crew that'll probably still walk up to the roof, but these pictures will be in place where our newer guys in the division are going to just look at the pictures, get the serial numbers, know what the tonnage is on a unit, get the part and bring it up there, right? So it's going to streamline those activities. Plus, when we talk about a scenario when we have a total loss of a facility and we're trying to determine each asset that was individually in a facility, we can use that 3D scanning. In fact, Puro Clean has a relationship with our insurer, MMRMA, where they basically will take the asset information from the 3D scanning and pay out based on that. So it's almost like being a service provider with AAA, where they say if you go there and you get the invoice from them, we'll trust it and we'll know that they're kind of replacing the right stuff. So under the continuity of government, there's again 2 ways that we're going to use this. We're going to do it anyway, but ARPA is a good way to fund this out of a one-time cost to get our asset management to where it needs to be. We've tried barcoding and doing different things in the hospital. You'll probably see like on every receptacle, they have each receptacle individually numbered. We're not that far yet because there's no label on there, right? But that's what we're trying to get to, where we have each asset. We're starting to look at life cycle costs like we do in our fleet currently. We're trying to bring our building maintenance up there, and this is kind of one of those tools. Secondarily, disaster mitigation and the scenario of we have a tornado that takes out the entire DPW facility, and we're trying to determine inventories that were destroyed, infrastructure, vehicles, equipment to care for vehicles, those type of, wrapping your head around something like that in an emergency. This will get us ahead of the game. So.
Do they have any questions?
So this gets us up to speed with all of our current assets. What is the game plan going forward to continue to manage it so we can keep at this high level?
They each year that we have facility upgrades, they monitor those, and then we will have them in to rescan if there's a major renovation, that type of thing. If there's mechanical equipment, we can either work through them or have their scanner come out, and we can take the pictures, or their scanner will come out and take the pictures.
So not only is this for current to bring us up to the standards, it is going forward to continue to maintain that high level.
Yep. Perfect. Yep.
Anybody else have any questions? I look for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by trustee
Support.
Kowalski, support by trustee McKee. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That
Appreciate
does
it.
pass.
Thanks,
Good
Norm.
evening.
Thank you. All right, so next we have the annual report of the Bloomfield Township Cable Department presented by Director Carrie Lazat. And her team is here as well, quite a few of them.
First of all, I'll say thank you. Oh, Martin left. Where'd he go?
He'll be back.
I did hear that I needed to set up a meeting with Corey and work on some kind of communication plan related to everything that they were talking about, so we can communicate better to residents. Thanks to everyone who showed up tonight at our open house, and thank you to my staff who's here, and especially Tara and Ziggy and David for speaking on our behalf tonight. I really appreciate those comments. The data tells one story, but it's those personal testimonies that we really tend to listen to and remember, because they resonate with us because of that heartfelt authenticity. So thank you for sharing those with us. And I do have a little story of my own to share that I like. I've been showing this at our orientations.
Hi, Carrie. How's it going?
In medical college right now. Yes. And wait, we have a correction. The Raymond Love Amy thing was
So
Joe.
that's me in 1988.
That was a mean joke, babe. I think that was kind of rude.
And in a station very similar to the one that I manage
think it's
today
not.
in Dearborn, where I grew up.
Everyone knows that Carol loves you.
And I spent many Saturday
was kind
nights
of
there
Tony's
producing a
fine.
show
The
similar to
Bourbon
MTV. It was
service
Back
takes
Porch
over.
Video.
Jeff loves Courtney.
Courtney, that is. Courtney.
Hannah.
It was
loves-
live television
Hannah loves Joe.
in
Hello,
a
Craig,
studio
loves
where
Jennifer.
we were answering
Audra.
phones.
Hi, Tony. Loves Millie.
Millie.
We showed the videos.
Actually, I
and
had a
students
grandmother named Millie.
in high
Maybe
school
maybe it's the same one.
served as camera
Who
operators,
knows?
floor managers,
This is a.
and
this
it's
is a
where I
Minnesota
first
Spring
directed
thing. That's cool.
my first live television.
How about them twins?
Isn't that fun? Isn't that hilarious that we can all dig that up? So, my classmates from Back Porch Video alum literally have gone around the world in careers in production, working as a creative director at Nat Geo, directing National Navy commercials, writing, producing for HBO and more. And community public access studios is where many careers start. So tonight, I wanted to celebrate a few of our BCTV employees who have taken that step in their career. And these are 4 employees that have gone on to full-time jobs after getting experience here in our studios. So I really wanted to celebrate them a little bit tonight. And thank my full-time staff. These are the folks that help make everything happen. So I'm maybe the one presenting tonight, but this certainly was a team effort in pulling the presentation together, and the work cannot be done without them. So thank you all so much. Greg, Steve, Jose, and Amy are the ones that really put the ideas in motion. So again, thank you. And our part-time staff, many are here tonight, and I so appreciate your support and showing up and enjoying the open house with us. It's great to get together sometimes when we're not really working and hang out, eating a hot dog and having ice cream and see what's going on in your lives. So these are our current part-time staff. Some of them are not here tonight because they're actually, one is in the studio directing this meeting right now. Lee, thank you, wherever you are, hello. And some are in, one is in Bingham Farms, and I think there's another one in Beverly Hills right now, doing similar meetings to this one. So without these technicians, producers, and videographer and assistants represent a lot of the work that we do for our BCTV Birmingham Area Cable Board contract. Thank you. These are our PEG communities, just a reminder of who we serve. They're working to support Bloomfield Hills, Birmingham, Bingham Farms, Beverly Hills, and Franklin. So I'm first going to begin with talking about cable, that half, the types of programs we manage, 714 total productions. Almost half are the public programs and half are the governmental meetings. And you can see the breakdown of the meetings that we covered. Bloomfield Township Library, 96 meetings, that's a big chunk of our work, and the Birmingham Bloomfield, that's another community similar in size. Providing transparency in government. Breaking those down even further, the sports, concerts, and parades, a lot of those are going on right now. We're into the concert season, the Birmingham shows that are in the park there, lectures, PSA doc, special programs, and podcasts. We're still doing a lot of podcasts. Many are done virtually, and others are in our new podcast studio. This year we really opened up the space by taking down the two sets that had been there for about 10 years. And one of those was from Ziggy doing his live production of his show. We started a new youth workshop today that's running in conjunction with the police academy that's going on right now. We've been doing orientations more frequently. We did one in December, February, and March, and the one in June, which is bringing people physically together and really utilizing the studio. These open houses have led to new community producers, the Distracted Librarians, which we heard about tonight, and these other shows as well. There's also one that's not mentioned, is the one that's covering the rebuilding of the Oakland Hills Golf Course, which I think is going to continue to be an interesting show to follow. We've implemented new ideas in the cable department. We have a monthly newsletter that we produce, and this printable digital program guide where if you go to it, you can actually click the shows and it'll not only just give you the schedule where we are on cable, but you can click the little box there and it'll take you to the show on YouTube where you can watch it there. Our audience growth. So we have grown our audience. We up almost 400 subscribers on YouTube with 925 videos published there and almost 100,000 views. The BCTV Facebook has grown. Our reach is up 36% with 443 more subscribers, and our local Lens newsletter is brand new and we have 315 subscribers that we stay in touch with. And I do hesitate in putting too much importance on these numbers because all of the revenue, all of the programming that you see these days is driven by marketing revenue, marketing dollars, advertising revenue, and PEG Television is the one place where that doesn't matter anymore. Like if you want to put a show on, it doesn't mean that many people have to watch it. It's more about the mission of PEG is more about the community access and the ability to be able to share the stories. So I share these numbers with a reminder that that those views are not our focus, but being able to offer the community access to the technology and resources to tell the stories, that is our true focus in being a PEG station. This past year, we celebrated a few awards that we've won. The 3 awards were related to the recruitment campaign we produced for the police department. While we lost the top spot for the best use of social media platforms and website, we lost to Los Angeles, which has 10,000 sworn officers in the police department and a 20-person staff just for the police department. So I was delighted to be in their company, and to lose to them was totally fine. These awards are given by NATOA, the National Association of Telecommunication Officers and Advisors. This is an organization we belong to that helps protect the rights to our revenues generated by the use of our rights of way. So this is an important conference that I attended in October. And it's an awards, that's the final night, but most of the conference was spent talking about preserving the revenue that is generated by a percentage of the cable bills that customers paid. And it was an ongoing thing in every meeting I attended pretty much. And as consumers cancel cable subscriptions and switch to broadband services to view content on a variety of streaming media platforms like Netflix, YouTube, and Hulu, the funding of PEG stations is decreasing, and that's what's summarized there in that chart. So to reduce that week-long conference in a nutshell, there's disruption in the entertainment and news industry right now, and that's affecting us. And the mantra was that if companies continue to operate within the community's right of way, they must pay for that access. So 2 things related to that. First is that there was legislation here in Michigan, HB 4965, and our communities, our PEG stations, got together and wrote letters in protest of that bill to save $100 million in franchise fees for the state of Michigan. And we were the only state that's been successful in battling that funding so far. And our supervisor and our treasurer and clerk all wrote a letter in protest of that legislation, and it did not pass. So it helps when we all join together and support that kind of action. So secondly, related to the funding, there is good news out of Florida, who passed a communications services tax with bipartisan support. This tax includes cable and satellite television, video and music streaming, telephone, and voice over internet protocol. So Netflix is paying in Florida. So how did this legislation get passed? That's a story to be continued. And I'm sure I'll have more detail on it when I return from this year's conference that will happen at the end of August. So moving on to community relations, the other half of the house. We redesigned our newsletter, which goes out quarterly to the community. And I think that it's just so much more of a fresher look. It's a little bit bigger now, easier to read, and I think it really captures your attention. So great job to Amy and the rest of the team for pulling that together. We continue to grow our print media, the food trucks collateral, and then also something that we've done related to storm sewers so that we can communicate in a visually attractive way. And public relations, I don't know how much you've noticed that we've appeared in local publications, but it's more because we are sending out press releases on the regular about once a week. And so it's really been able to let people know, not just from our stories and our videos, but in other publications. And I know that people that turned up tonight at the open house, they found out about it in Eagle, and so that's why they were there. So it works. The communication works. All the platforms, all together, all the time. It's a lot, and it takes a great effort, but I think we're doing a pretty good job. The electronic newsletters we manage, the Township e-News goes out once a week and kind of pulls all of the items together, videos and other related hot items that we need to let the community know about. The BT Buzz is an internal communication that we do now monthly. The Recruitment Blotter is about a bi-weekly publication that goes out to people that show up at recruiting events just to keep them in the loop of that we still need more officers and to remind them that they want to come work at Bloomfield Township. And Local Lens is, again, our email that we send out from the cable department to let people know when we have open houses or to get orientations and highlighting local producers. Our social media growth. You can see our highlighting there is the Instagram at 23%, and other departments, they're all growing a little bit at a time, with BCT Facebook growing 13%, and the police Facebook, we just trail behind them, but we're doing the best we can to catch up. Grants awarded last year, $96,000, and what we've done with the new, relatively new grants and engagement position is trying to bring all of the applications that happen throughout the township into our department so that Jose manages them, and then once we get them, he'll help facilitate all of the paperwork and things that are required in order to report back. Pending, these $390,000 are what we've actually applied for, and we're waiting to hear back at this time. We also have appropriation requests from the state that include outdoor equipment for the senior center, a command center vehicle, and turnout gear. So that's an additional, but the chances of that, of us getting them, they're slim, so we didn't include it in the 390. We feel like we have a better chance with these grants that are in front of you here. Community engagement, we returned the open house, which was a wildly successful event. I think people loved coming out and seeing everything that was going on again, the first time after COVID. And we've continued to really amplify some of the events that have already been happening, and adding the food trucks, which is back again this summer. And our first food truck that was last week already had the second best attendance so far. So people are seeing our signage, and they're just stopping in and seeing what we've got going on. And we're passing out postcards and letting people know about other things that are happening. So we continue to reach out and meet our community members and let them know that there's many ways to find out about all the wonderful things that go on here in Bloomfield Township. The website migration. So 60% of our website traffic comes from mobile devices, and we really needed to update the website in order to make it more user-friendly. So it was increasingly important that content that needs to be adjusted so it's compatible with a variety of devices and screen sizes, particularly helpful for the mobile app. The new website features that we were able to incorporate, we being pretty much Amy, as she was leading this project, the Senior Center calendar. So there are many programs and events offered at the Senior Center. Residents were not aware unless they searched for them within Senior Services pages. So we added a category to the current calendar. Now Senior Center can promote special programs, cancellations, and closure alerts within our website calendar. Residents benefit from seeing new, interesting programs in the calendar field, and this is especially useful for the app. We added the How Do I menu on the homepage. Users frequently use the search feature because they do not know where to look for something, so we're trying to think like a resident and add common services that they search for, redirecting them to the correct page. Friendly links were created. Each department has some frequently used pages and have been given a shorthand friendly link for improved user experience. So instead of that long link that leads to the fire department, we have bloomfieldtwp.org/fire. We use the migration as an opportunity to work with each department to refresh content and verify accuracy. So Amy went and met with everybody, all the department heads, and we eliminated some pages that were just taking up space and made everything, kind of cleaned everything up and did an overhaul. It was overdue. It was time. The mobile app design. So if you remember, about a year ago, I said that an app was coming, and it's finally here. So what took so long? So first of all, there was the bidding process where we met with 4 vendors from across the country to see what they had to offer, comparing pricing along with functionality, and we landed on Jake Apps, who happened to be based in our neighboring community of Bingham Farms. Then the fun really began with the initial design, testing, changes, acceptance into the App Store, which we had to wait for a while because you never really know when they were going to accept it. So that took probably 3 months to get approved. Then we were able to conduct focus groups, incorporated the feedback, the soft launch, and now, today, here we have our mobile app ready to go. So if you're watching right now, or if you're sitting in the audience, you can scan your QR code and you'll be taken to our website where you can download either the app for your Android or your iPhone and start using it. So it has pretty basic functionality to begin with, and we'll continue to add to that. You don't want to do everything all at once. You want to get people using it and being able to tell them about new things. And one of the most useful features is the click and report, where if you're walking around taking photos and you see something, you can snap a photo of it and send it directly to the department who can take care of the issue for you. We also increased our recruiting marketing. So what we started with the police department, we've pretty much repeated with the fire department. These are little bookmarks that we've created, and hundreds have been passed out to new recruits. And we also initiated a LinkedIn training workshop for all department heads so we could be recruiting from our networks. And we supported that work with new social media graphics and headshot photos for department heads. So what's next? For this year, we partnered up with the Regional Youth Academy to offer the documentary workshop that's running this week to build relationships between the media and police departments. While the Academy students are learning more about policing, our workshop is helping tell these stories. And this year, there was a media component added to the Academy where Brent Cass from WXYZ came in, talked to the students, and coincidentally, Brett told me today that he had his first exposure to television production at a public access station. Back to school with BCTV will be a day of digital learning literacy workshops for our community producers with topics that will cover how to get your videos seen on YouTube, making videos with your phone, storytelling, and more. We're still pulling together the curriculum for that, but we're looking forward to having that in September. And the stage at the bottom represents the cultural stage that will be an addition to this year's open house, where we will host local performance groups like a dance company and gymnastics group in addition to kicking off the open house with the Bloomfield High School Band, really highlighting the cultural diversity and artistic nature of our community and our residents. And with the increasing of my budget for the part-time staff, we will be hiring four part-time positions that will help produce short, educational, informative news packages that will be published both on social media platforms and in a quarterly news magazine for the cable broadcast. And finally, sorry, I should have stayed on the other slide, but as a big part of this year's budget is the updating to Township Hall. So a year from now, when this report is delivered, the space will be refreshed with new paint, chairs, and updated video equipment. The new relationships that we've developed, I modeled after the collaborative relationships police and fire have with Oak Tack and Oakway, respectively. I've looked for ways to deepen our relationships with the neighboring communities. When I saw that Chief Gallagher would be part of the sheriff's town halls, I offered to have our crew videotape the events, and they've been shared throughout not just YouTube, but other communities, so that all of us are more informed. In the same way that police and fire work with neighboring communities, we are doing the communication that can be shared throughout them. We also covered some of the pre-conferences of the North American Active Assailant Conference so that lessons learned could be shared beyond those able to attend in person. And as we have looked to highlight community organizations in the past, we are looking to connect with the Birmingham Bloomfield Arts Center with more regularity in the same way that we have done with our dear library friends. Finally, today is one of my favorite work days of the year, because I reflect a lot about what we've accomplished over the last year, and we get to bring our community together to celebrate the work in person. And I'm going to show you a short video of what my best day of the year was, since this is the second best day, my best day of the year. And let me just set it up by telling you that it's the rare occasion now that I get to get out of the office and from behind the desk and go back into production. And really, it was a way for the three of us, myself, Greg, and Steve, to get out in the field. the production part is why we're in this business. So now that we're doing more management, it's so rare that we get to do production. And so this was a day that the three of us were able to go out and make something together, and we really do. We love production. So working collaboratively like this to tell a story, which was also a really amazing team building experience that extended beyond my team and included the fire department. And we were all working together to tell this story. So let me take a quick look, short video. Where's my audio?
We're ready.
There it is. So we're out here this morning with the Bloomfield Township Fire Department. One of the best things about summer is being on the water, but you need to be safe. And if you need to be rescued, this is some of the training they do in order to help you out. I really do have the best job.
This summer, the Bloomfield Township Fire Department can save a life as quickly as possible. Always have a life jacket or throwable life preserver.
They're here to make you guys look good with the whole thing of editing.
Before I get to my questions, I just want to say it was the perfect Michigan summer day, and we got to spend it on one of our beautiful lakes. And then there's the story that we get to tell about the excellent training that our fire department receives to keep our community safe. So I just have to mention that I shared this video with a firefighter paramedic from another community recently, and he said, what a great safety topic, and that drowning kills more people each year in the United States than fire. So he shared some data with me. And that included that over 4,500 people died due to drowning each year from 2020 to 2022, 500 more per year compared to 2019. So actually drowning has increasing. So with all the lakes included in the service area for our fighters, isn't it imperative that they be properly trained? Funding for cable and community relations doesn't come from taxpayer dollars, as you know, but public safety is taxpayer funded. So while we can't include a call to action in our communication to residents, we can educate and inform the community about the training that goes on here so that when a millage renewal is on the ballot, as it will be this fall, they can connect the dots and make an informed decision. These stories are the consistent heartbeat of our community. And now I'm ready for any questions you may have.
Anyone have any questions?
Not a question, just a comment. Thank you and your staff for the exceptional work that you do and helping to provide really the face of Bloomfield Township through the stories, through everything that you do, and also updating, and very much in need of updating the technology and the platforms that we're able to use, through the department. So again, thank you very much. Great job.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'd like to add, you're doing an awesome job. I came to both your open houses last year and this year, which was fun. I missed the ice cream though. Had to get over here for the meeting. But, I love the staff. I don't know them all, but obviously I've worked with some of the guys, and especially like Greg on Preservation Bloomfield. And I came to Ziggy's program. I brought my husband. He actually came to one of your open houses too, or your training communities. And the things you're doing, it just keeps growing. And I'm an advertising background person, and communication. So I think it's awesome. The more we can share what we have here, so we have a lot to offer. And thank you for you and your team for doing such a great job.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to echo what everybody else on the board has said and seen. What you guys have been able to do with the cable department is amazing. Right? Again, we've been able to update it, get more reach out to different residents, and hit different demographics that our township has. Right? And then make sure that everybody's voice is being heard and has the opportunity. And it's great. I appreciate it. again, prior to being on the board, I didn't even know we had this. I'm not gonna lie. Now I see all the amazing things that we do and provide to our residents and different ways they can get out and get different platforms. It's great. So thank you so much for all you do and your staff does on a daily basis. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, you certainly continue to impress me every year. You do it bigger and better, and the communication, the newsletter looks great. What's going on in the mailing? I did just have a question. I didn't know about that Local Lens e-newsletter. So how can we sign up for that?
I think if you go to Bloomfield TWP/cable, it will direct you to all of the newsletters where you can sign up.
Great. I'll be signing up for that. Thanks.
Thanks, Stephanie.
And thank you. You guys, there's nothing you guys can't do. It's just amazing. Sometimes you guys are given less than 24 hours to throw something together. Sometimes it's weeks. And the quality that you put out, no matter how fast the turn-on is always very high. And all of your personalities are amazing and unique, and I love it. So thank you guys to all of you, and to you, Carrie.
So I also don't have a question, but I have a statement. So, while small in number, the cable department is truly mighty in its talent, its productivity, its creativity. And this report just scratched the surface of the things that you all do for us. So thank you, and I look forward to next year's presentation. They're always really amazing.
Thanks, Martin.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Chief, you gotta follow that. Next, we have approved the annual renewal. Do you want to take a picture with your team, Carrie, or are you guys all set?
We got lots of pictures.
Okay. All right.
Thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you, everyone. So next, we have approved the annual renewal of the high-intensity drug trafficking area, a HIDA subrecipient agreement for the 2024 year between Oakland County and Bloomfield Township.
Yes, welcome. Back in front of you is an annual agreement that we signed with HIDA, which is our high-intensity drug trafficking area. HIDA reimburses the township, or through our Oakland County Narcotics Enforcement Team, they reimburse us overtime monies that are spent during the drug investigations by Officer Coleman that's in there. And so in front of you, there's a lot of language, but this strictly is just a annual renewal that dictates the amount that they give back. The fiduciary behind this is Novi PD, so their information is in here, and that's what Oakland County Narcotics submits to them, and then we get our reimbursement through there. So we're just looking for support behind it. This was reviewed by Mark. The changes in there, I hope, will stick every year as the Charter Township of Bloomfield instead of Township of Bloomfield, as I learned. The thumb has one. So they were able to get it to us, and we're just looking for support for it to be signed.
Any questions? I look for a motion.
Make a motion.
Support. Trustee Barnett, support by Trustee Murray. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That does pass. Next, we just have a general police department update from Chief Gallagher.
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. I know we're towards the end of the meeting. First, I'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge Oakland County Sheriff's Department and Detective Reckling, who passed away, obviously, I want to say passed away, was tragically killed Saturday night, early Sunday morning, doing what very frustrating we'll hear from our maybe some other arenas of law enforcement, that these are property crimes, which I'll argue all day long that a stolen car is not a property crime. While we may lose the car, they're stealing the car for another reason. And there will be more information that comes out about these suspects, but they shouldn't have been on the street. And so these are frustrating cases. These crimes, these cars are used in crimes. 80% of crimes are used, or 80% of crimes are committed by people using a car. And so while this resident of Rochester Hills Saturday night lost their vehicle while they were at the Red Oaks Water Park, there was some information obtained where they could find the vehicle. Unfortunately, the officers thought they might be, because of how stagnant it was for a while, they thought they would be coming across possibly just recovering a stolen vehicle, which turned out not to be the case. And within moments of getting behind that car, those subjects exited that vehicle and ambushed that officer. So a little frustration maybe. Recently with these types of crimes, they aren't just property crimes, and while they may seem that way, we have to get away from that thinking. And again, hopefully as the days progress here, we can figure out and know more details with it. And so It just happened to be on the heels of Oakland County facing another tragedy last weekend. At the splash pad, we did not respond to that incident. We offered our assistance. They had enough law enforcement response at that time where we did not need to go. With both these incidents, we've offered our assistance in the days to come. We may be providing additional manpower to help the county. While they're a large agency, I've been telling them, and maybe it's a bad thing, but they've been kicked in the mouth over these last 6 months greatly. And with the partnerships that we have with them, they would stand up for us. And Sheriff Bouchard has been nothing but amazing to our agency through his whole career, obviously, starting here back in, and serving 10 years in our agency. So he does wonders with us. But our hearts go out to them. We do have active cases with that detective. He is helping out a couple of our cases right now. And he's worked greatly with our Troy surveillance. He was actually been assigned to them because of the auto theft connection in the cases that they did that I'll highlight here for a second. I mentioned it at our award ceremony. But he's been working hand in hand with Troy surveillance. So Officer Monty was in today and you could see it on his face. So behind that, I just wanted to highlight a couple small things that goes with it. Carrie mentioned that the North American Active Assailant Conference was here. I know Danny attended some of it, and I believe Martin, you may have been at a couple days of it. It's an emotional few days, but it's something that as a township we're better because of when we attend these and learn from all these other agencies across the world on what went right and what went wrong. I'll tell you the common theme behind it was take care of your people. Take care of our people and things will happen. And so again, last weekend on top of the splash pad shooting, it just happened to be literally a week from the ending of that conference. In a matter of probably 2 minutes and 2 incidents, we had 15 people shot in Oakland County. 6 people in Lathrop Village, and then the 9 at the splash pad. And so when we talk about OAKTAC and we talk about the training we do in the township, that's what we prepare for the day that, we hate to say it, when this comes, if is no longer a question in Oakland County. So I think that's important to type out. With that, though, and some of the positive sides of that, our peer support team is really been obviously of value to us, and I've mentioned that multiple times, but they have assisted Chief Langmeyer in Wixom recently, Rochester City last week with a debrief, and then they'll be going to Lathrop Village tomorrow to assist with what they call critical incident stress management debriefs, where officers sit with officers and debrief these situations so they have one-on-ones with a member of the Oakland County Health Network. And so I've been real big on lending our people. The more we get involved in these debriefs, the better we are as an agency to if and when it does happen here, we're prepared for it. And so they do it on their own time, and they're very, it's been very well received by the other agencies. Talking about car thefts real quick, I'll just highlight a couple cases. It was all over the news about a month ago with the car thefts that our Troy surveillance team was really the leaders behind. It was a case that involved, started as a small case, and it turned out to be a case where they arrested 8 individuals. The first round, the second round will be coming shortly. In that case, there were these individuals, the 8 responsible, which will be a much larger crew, probably about 25 people total. They're responsible for over 400 vehicle thefts and about an $8 million loss. And so they've hit just about every community in the state of Michigan, all the way, and part of the arrests were chop shops in small rural areas outside of here. So that was created by the Troy Surveillance Unit. Detective Joe Morgan over there is, he's a guy you want to investigate in your case. Obviously, being a part of that, we really are fortunate to have Officer Joe Monty there now, and really learning under those guys, and they were part of that. Kind of staying with that theme, we have made some progress on some of the South American Theft Group cases. While I can't promise any arrests, we've done some still from the one last September. And I won't give residents names, but we've made progress on that, and they may be taking a trip out of state very shortly to finish up that case, and may be able to present on that. And so hopefully I'll be able to follow up in the near future on something of that nature. I think it's just important to highlight some of the things that are going on. Last Tuesday, we had a home invasion down in our south end. Because we were able to get to the house so quickly, homeowners interrupted this home invasion, and the homeowner was we'll say it was assaulted, not a violent assault, but when they tried to interfere, and the suspect did push the homeowner to get out of the house. Our officers did what they do. A couple officers went to the house to make sure everyone was okay, but we flooded the area down there, and within minutes we had the vehicle identified, and we're in pretty good lengthy pursuit of the vehicle down to 12 Mile and Telegraph. That vehicle then went the wrong way down Telegraph at 12 Miles when we terminated that pursuit due to the danger at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Again, we don't pursue often, but when our homeowners are affected, we're going to do everything we can to identify. The nice part about that is we were able to discontinue that pursuit. Our entire detective bureau activated. Our Troy surveillance team monitored what was going on. They were able to break some of their team free. We set up surveillance on multiple residences. Unfortunately, have not made an arrest yet. We're making progress, but we did recover the car the next morning down in downtown Detroit. So that was good. And then again, we talk about property crimes and things that happen. On May 26th, our Gowling dealership was being side door entry into the building where they stole a vehicle out of there. That vehicle was used in probably crimes elsewhere. We finally made an arrest on that last Monday, and that information through a lot of investigative leads, which we won't get into, we were able to probably identify all the other individuals involved, and hopefully those arrests will be coming soon as well. And so those are just some of those incidents that we talk about, and the need and the want for what, when we talk about flock and things of that nature. I'll give you an example too of how the systems are working. Last week we had, the south end, Beverly Hills and Berkeley really, and part of Huntington Woods really got hammered by a couple storms that came through. Beverly Hills declared a state of emergency that night. I heard my radio was going off quite frequently about 10 p.m. And so I called in here and asked, do you need people to come in? How's the township? And they had about 15 phone calls on hold at that point in time, and not one of them was a Bloomfield Township phone call. Because Birmingham was overrun, Huntington Woods was overrun, and Berkeley was overrun, the system worked, and it pushes all those 911 calls to other PSAPs, public safety answering points throughout the county, so the calls don't go unanswered. And so that night alone, from 10 o'clock till midnight, we had over 200 phone calls. And when you think about two dispatchers, Meg ended up coming in from home and assisting, and we had two officers come in and start answering phone calls. But 200 phone calls were rerouted pretty much from other agencies. So the system in the end is working, and that collaboration that we really have in Oakland County really shined through. On June 11th and June 13th, just on day shift alone, they took over 102 calls for service between police and fire. And you're just talking a 12-hour period of time for 6 officers, usually about 6 officers on the road and 4 fire stations. So we have been busy. We've had 13 fleeing and eludes since the beginning of the year, which just goes to show, the disregard for law enforcement and disregard for, and most of them are probably property crimes and or traffic violations that we do not continue those pursuits on. I think we've had 2 or 3 that were good pursuits in reference to a shooting out of Washtenaw County, obviously our home invasion last week, and then we've had 2 drunk drivers pretty much. I know Danny and I have talked recently. We've had a lot of the wrong way drivers on Telegraph over the last probably 2 months. Whether it was by accident, all times a day. Like we've talked one day, I said, man, I wish I could pinpoint like when it's been people from out of the country who don't know how Michigan turns work.
Not always under the influence.
Yeah, not all, but some, but not all. And so it's been kind of scary. But I'll tell you that the flock has been instrumental to us. Again, it doesn't necessarily give us a suspect, but we've had multiple crimes. Our home invasion last week is one where we were able to put that car in the township coming northbound on Telegraph within 5 minutes of that home invasion occurring. So just another investigative lead for us to be able to pinpoint that person or whoever's driving that car when we find them. That car, you were in possession of it. It was in Bloomfield Township, and within minutes we had a home invasion. So just some things that are happening around. The community engagement's always going on. Officer Soli's knocking it out of the park. They have the Youth Academy this week. His position will be coming up, with our future, the transformation in the department. He'll probably get promoted hopefully in the next year or so. So we need to rotate somebody in and get him back on the road. So that process will be taking place here real soon. So kind of a quick 7-8 minute digest of what's going on in the police department. We've been busy, and we'll continue to support our neighbors and as they would support us. And again, I know I'm Bloomfield Township, but we feel the pain of our sheriff's department as well. So, have any questions?
Questions or comments?
Thank you for everything you and the department do.
They're working hard, and I'll give our credit to our fire department too. When I talk about 102 calls for service, 30, I think 30 of those one day, 11 of them were 11 calls were medical calls before 11 a.m. And that's that's taxing, right? It's taxing our guys, it's taxing the rescues when that kind of stuff happens. So
That is something unique here too, that when you talk about your teamwork with all of the other law enforcement agencies, to have police and fire as close as you all are here, that is something I did not know before being a board member is unique to our community compared to others. So thank you not only for what you do here, for what your team also does with the others, but that partnership with the fire to increase services. In
Chief Leroy and I talk several times a week and just
Yeah.
bounce ideas off each other. And, we saw it last week with a house fire and the collaboration between police and fire and police getting there quickly and fire department arriving quickly. We saved a house together and, there wasn't just good collaboration. So.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. Both departments are just excellent. You guys do an excellent job, and
Try.
it makes us feel.
We're lucky to
glad
have the
be
staff
here.
that we do all around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
And next we have consider the oh, nope, we already did that one. Next we have approved the payroll and vouchers for June 2024.
So
June
moved.
24, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Murray. Do I have support?
Support.
Support by trustee Barnett. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And our last one,
I move we adjourn.
motion by clerk Brooke.
Support.
Support by trustee Kalinsky. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That does pass. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks.